Hey Waffle Crew, I hope you're all doing great. I'm Mark, and today we're diving into some fresh Reddit tales. If you enjoy a good Reddit story, consider giving a thumbs up, subscribing, or even hitting that notification bell. Let's jump right into the first story. Sending tons of love your way. Our first tale comes from anonymously 10,500 on the Am I the Asshole subreddit. The question is, was I wrong for kicking my husband out after he went to comfort his ex-girlfriend? A quick heads up. This story includes mentions of suicide threats, so if that's sensitive for you, feel free to skip ahead. Timestamps are in the description and along the timeline below for your convenience. Here's the story. I'm a 32-year-old woman and my husband, 38, and I have been married for 3 years. Our marriage has had its highs and lows, but overall, we're a content couple. However, early in our relationship, 5 years ago, he was also seeing Angela, a 24-year-old woman. I didn't know about her at the time, but when I found out, I confronted him. He claimed we weren't exclusive yet, so he didn't think it was an issue. I made it clear that if he didn't end things with Angela, I was done. We took a break for a few weeks until he showed up at my place, saying he'd cut ties with Angela and wanted to make things official with me. Since then, we've been a fairly typical couple. Some bumps, but I genuinely believe he's my soulmate. That is, until Angela resurfaced recently. 3 weeks ago, we were running errands and stopped at a new boba shop next to our grocery store. As we scanned the menu, I spotted a woman who looked like Angela walk in. My stomach dropped, and I hoped my husband wouldn't notice her. But then, she called out his name. They had a brief, awkward chat while I zoned out, trying to stay calm. She eventually asked, "Is that your wife?" He nodded, squeezed my hand, and I managed a weak smile, praying the interaction would end. We got our drinks and left, but 2 weeks ago, I noticed my husband's phone light up with a Facebook Messenger notification. I asked who it was, and he said it was an old friend I wouldn't know. I let it slide, assuming it was nothing. But a few days later, while ordering food on his phone, I saw another notification, from Angela. Shocked, I checked their messages. They seemed casual and friendly, but given their history, I was uneasy. I confronted him, asking why she was messaging him. He explained that after the boba shop encounter, she sent him a friend request, and they started chatting. He insisted it was harmless, but I told him I wasn't comfortable with it and asked him to unfriend her. He hesitated, but eventually complied. Things were quiet until last night. Apparently, Angela bombarded him with messages and called him, crying about her sick mother. Since he knew her mom, he felt for her. She told him she was alone and needed someone to lean on, asking him to come over. I didn't know any of this until I saw him putting on his shoes by the door. When I asked where he was going, he explained Angela's situation and said she needed support. I told him not to go, and we argued. He was in a rush, so I blocked the door and warned that if he went to comfort his ex, he couldn't come back. He brushed it off, pushed past me, and left. I went inside, poured a few drinks, and tried not to lose it while resisting the urge to call him repeatedly. 3 hours later, he returned. I was on the couch and told him he couldn't stay. He was stunned, and we argued again. Long story short, he said he had nowhere to go, so I suggested he stay with Angela since they seemed so close. He left again, and I haven't heard from him since. I've been up, sipping drinks, and questioning if I overreacted. I'm struggling to process this, and could use some advice on what to do next. Sorry for the long post. I needed to get this off my chest. Edit. Wow, thank you all for the overwhelming support. I'm replying to comments now. Quick update. I crashed last night and texted work that I'm unwell and won't be in today. It's 2 p.m. here, and I've been napping, feeling out of it. My husband hasn't come home, and his location has been off since yesterday. I'm worried and might text him later to check if he's okay, but I'm not in the right headspace yet. I'll keep you posted. Thanks again. The red flags are piling up, aren't they? He secretly reconnected with his ex, lied about who was messaging him, prioritized her emergency over your clear boundary, and then disappeared for hours with his location off. Even if her mom is sick, and I wish her well if so, it feels like a manipulation tactic to pull him back in. It's suspicious that she reappeared right after that boba shop run-in. His actions speak louder than words. One commenter said, "Not the asshole. He played the she has no one else card like it's your responsibility. She's an ex, not a charity case. Hesitating to unfriend her was already shady, but rushing to her side in the middle of the night? You set a boundary, and he blew past it like it was nothing. Stay strong. He's disrespecting you." OP responded, "Thanks for the support. I want to talk to friends or family, but I'm worried they'll dismiss my feelings. I feel bad if her mom is sick, but I'm upset my husband went to her. I don't know the full story since he was in a hurry, but I assume she has other people to turn to. Why him? Someone asked OP when she learned about Angela. She replied, I didn't know much about her initially. 5 years ago, I saw him tagged in an Instagram post with her, which tipped me off. I checked her profile enough to confirm they were dating and memorized her face. I confronted him then, but didn't dig deeper. When we got engaged, I asked about Angela. He said they met when she approached him at his workplace, claiming she worked there and was 23. 2 months in, she admitted she was 19, turning 20, and had lied about her job. She found him on LinkedIn, targeting guys with good careers. Another commenter said, not the asshole. He seems like a decent guy, but he was two-timing you both early on. Not a great start. I'd usually say you're being controlling, but this is an ex, not a friend. She should be leaning on family or an unattached ex. OP replied, thanks. I try not to dwell on the past since I can't change it, but I'm starting to see he might have played us both. I don't think I'm controlling. This was at night, at her place, and she's not just any ex, but someone he dated while with me. 8 days later, OP posted an update. Sorry for the delay, I've been sick. Thanks to everyone for the kind comments. To those saying I pushed my husband to another woman or was controlling, I'd argue that if he runs to someone else during a fight, is he really my husband? I have standards. Also, my boundary about exes is mine. You may be fine with your partner doing this, but I'm not. As for the age gap, I didn't know Angela's age until we were engaged, as I explained in a comment. Here's what happened. He came home that day while I was watching TV. We locked eyes but didn't speak. He showered, went to our room, and slept. I was still upset, so I stayed in the living room. Hours later, when he woke up, I made dinner. We ate quietly until he asked to talk. He said Angela friended him on Facebook after the boba shop. He ignored her request at first, but she messaged him days later. He showed me their chats, casual at first. Then she sent a suicidal message. He claims he responded out of concern. They discussed her struggles with addiction and self-harm. I learned she has a 51-year-old boyfriend. She kept messaging, and he'd only reply when she guilted him. When I told him to block her, he didn't, fearing for her safety. That night, she sent alarming messages and called, sobbing about her mom. He rushed over, saying she claimed to have taken pills. When he arrived, she acted oddly, almost faking it. She refused the hospital, then admitted she didn't take anything. She confessed she lied about her mom's illness to get him there, claiming she had no one else. He doubted her story, left, and spent hours driving around, eating, and wandering before coming home. He was exhausted and couldn't explain right then. He didn't go back to Angela's but stayed out until later. I was overwhelmed and needed time to think. I told him I'd stay with my parents for a few days. I got sick there, so a few days turned into a week. I still feel betrayed, even if he didn't cheat. I don't fully trust his story, and I'm unsure how to move forward. Divorce feels extreme, but I can't hide at my parents forever. I'm heading home tomorrow for our first real talk in a week. Also, I got a random Instagram message request today from a burner account. It's a photo, and my gut says it's tied to Angela. I'm nervous to open it. Update. OP opened the photo, a screenshot of Angela's private story, showing her in lingerie with the caption, "She'll taste me when she kisses him." A commenter said, "The good news is you're not the only one feeling sick lately. The bad news is it's not just physical, it's emotional too. Hang in there." OP replied, "Yeah, germs suck, but emotionally I'm struggling. I want to lean on my husband, but I can't trust him right now. I'm dreading going home." Another suggested sending him the photo and asking for an explanation. OP said, "I saved it and plan to show him tonight. I'm anxious about confrontation, so I'm trying to calm down first." Another asked if it's normal for him to shower mid-afternoon. OP clarified, "No, he usually showers at night, but he hadn't the previous night, so I figured that's why." No further updates from OP, but things don't look promising, do they? What's your take? Share your thoughts below, and let's move to the next story. This one's from Swiss913 on the Am I the Asshole subreddit. Was I wrong for asking a woman to turn off her phone's speaker at a fancy restaurant? My husband, 52, and I, 50, took my mom and her partner to a 4-star restaurant. After our appetizers, a middle-aged woman and a teenager sat at the table next to us. As the woman passed by, I noticed she was on a loudspeaker phone call. Other diners turned to look as her conversation echoed. Our main courses arrived, but she kept talking loudly, her phone propped on a glass while the teen scrolled on hers. Here's where I might have crossed a line. A couple was seated nearby, and after a few minutes, they asked to move tables, citing her call. We finished our mains and were waiting to order dessert. The teen stepped away, so I leaned over and said, "Excuse me, could you please take your call off speaker? It's disturbing those around you. Several tables have been staring, hoping you'd stop." She replied that if the person were here, we'd hear them anyway. I countered, "I'd hope you wouldn't be shouting like this if they were sitting across from you." She said she'd lower the volume. I thanked her, noting it was disruptive. She snapped, "I'm a grown woman. This is done." I stayed quiet. We had dessert and left, but as we walked out, she loudly told her caller, "They're gone. I'm turning it back up." Was I wrong for asking her to turn off speakerphone? A commenter shared a story. Someone, maybe Miss Manners, suggested a clever tactic for a similar issue on a train. The person leaned over and said loudly, "Come back to bed, darling. I'm cold." Hilarious. But seriously, let management handle it. Starks Dawson said, "I can't stand people using speakerphone in public. They act like they're above everyone else." Once, a woman on a bus used speakerphone for an hour. When she got off, someone said, "There is a God," and we all cracked up. Speakerphone is for private calls, not public, not the asshole. Acrobatic Reality said, "Not the asshole." I matched someone's energy once. A guy was on a loud speakerphone call in a YMCA lobby. I told my kids they didn't need to be quiet since he wasn't. I encouraged them to act normally, not rude, just lively. He got mad but had to take his call outside. I taught those kids to stand up to inconsiderate people. Heelsucker shared, "On a London bus, a woman was on speakerphone, spilling personal details. No one could get her to quiet down, so as she got off, I asked her to turn it up so we could keep hearing." She turned bright red, and the bus erupted in laughter. Karamis said, "What's wrong with people?" I was in the ER for 12 hours with my husband. He was in a hallway bed, surrounded by others. A woman nearby was on speakerphone with her daughter, loudly discussing bowel issues. I wanted to yell, "We're in a public hallway, take it off speaker." When did this become okay? I was on a quiet train carriage once, and someone was on speakerphone. Everyone heard their whole conversation. It's ridiculous. Have you dealt with this? How did you handle it? Did you eavesdrop? Spill the tea. A huge thanks for joining me today, engaging with these stories, and showing your support. It means everything. See you in the next one. Take care and much love.